Welcome to the romance special of Grass on the Wicket.
We definitely shouldn't. We definitely shouldn't do a romance
Yeah,
special
we
of
really
Grass on the
shouldn't.
Wicket.
And we're live. Welcome back to Grass on the Wicket. We've got with us today Paddy in the studio, so to speak.
Yeah, in the living room.
Yeah, how are you, Paddy?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty tired. We wanted to start this at 9 this morning, and we'd been having a few drinks last night. Fortunately for us, Jay was so late dialing in. I've had an extra 45 minutes of rest.
Yeah. So we've also got Jay phoning in from his home in Kent. Hello, Jay.
Hello, how are we all? I'm not going to try and make an excuse because I was up till just like 4 trying to do work. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Because I don't know, I'm just nocturnal when it comes to revision. Pardon, I'm trying. I mean, it's not going great, but hopefully we'll get better in the next week.
Just play cricket instead.
I mean, I'd love to. The one thing I think I actually will try and do this summer is actually play club cricket for the first time in 3 years. I'm quite excited for it. But then again, me having no bottle, I might just bottle it and just say, nah, I can't be bothered.
Well, in fairness, if you've got no bottle, you'll fit right in.
So I hear, have you got friendlies today, or later on, or what have you got on today?
Yeah, we'll get into all that good stuff later on.
So I think the first bit of news we should cover, as has become customary, we'll get depressing stuff out of the way early on. Conor Lang, the former Northampton Scotland cricketer, unfortunately passed away a couple of days ago. Our thoughts go out to those who were close to him. He was quite a good cricketer, really. I think for Scotland, he was a solid player. Played about 20 games for them, I think. I don't know, Jay. Did you ever see much of Conor Lang?
I did. I do know the name, and I had looked at him, but to be honest, unfortunately, not really very much. I mean, I don't know how he didn't play. Did he play a lot of games for Northampton, or it was just like a few games, if I remember correctly?
Played a couple of seasons for them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I do. I think it was against Zimbabwe where because I'm a staunch Zimbabwe fan, and so when Zimbabwe lost to Scotland, I'm pretty sure he got a big fifer, or played a really big hand in the game, and so I do know about that game, and it was kind of Scotland's kind of coming out party in that was their first game win against an ODI status side.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he got 5 for 60 against Zimbabwe in 2017, and that was one of his last Scotland games.
Yeah.
And so, I knew of him, but unfortunately, I didn't really pay enough attention. Well, before coming to Edinburgh, I really didn't pay enough attention to Scottish cricket, which is really bad of me when you think about it. But at the time, when you're from Kent, and you don't have any intentions of thinking about Scotland or associate cricket, and me before being a massive India fan, this is pre my obsession with New Zealand, and so at this point I was just supporting India. I was probably pro Big Three, just a complete just bad cricket fan.
Test series should only be tri-series with England, Australia, and India.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The World Cup. Yeah. Yeah, the World Cup should just be 3 teams. Just one of them kind of very conservative fans, which I now obviously regret. But at the time, I just did not give a damn about Scotland.
I mean, it's fair enough.
Don't dig him out.
I'm not going to be I'm a big three supporter only, because that's not true. Because I do love an underdog in cricket, but I've spent a lot of my time in Buckinghamshire, and the Scottish cricket doesn't really happen very often. In conversations or in watching, Scottish cricket isn't really a thing.
You got to search it out.
Yeah, well, I do now. I feel like I'm
follow the games on Cricinfo.
They're probably I follow it too closely now.
Well, that's one thing I also found as well, like being in Kent, you just don't hear about it. The only thing I guess in Kent is Callum MacLeod has played for Beckenham in club cricket for a while. So because like my club play reasonably good standard club cricket, you kind of hear down like the grapevine who's playing for who kind of thing. And like there were a few Scottish players that played in the Kent League. So I know Callum MacLeod has played in there. I think Richie Berrington at some point, but there's been a few players from Scotland surprisingly that play in Beckenham and Bexley and all these London boroughs that, in my opinion, aren't Kent. But that's a different time.
About club players that play in Kent. There were a bunch of 11 pretty useless club cricketers that came up against a very strong Somerset side yesterday.
I mean,
and got absolutely dismantled.
I can't have any rebuttals at this conversation.
Have you got scorecard in front of you there, Jay?
I gave up after seeing they made 360. I was like, no, I can't deal with this because this is not going to be a fun podcast for me.
Yeah, really. I mean, Kent's batting performance was possibly worse than their bowling performance.
I can kind of see why you didn't want to come on, why you were too busy sleeping and not enough getting on the podcast.
Oh, geez, 94 all out. I didn't even look. Oh, no.
Excellent.
That is horrendous. Oh, my God, your whole middle order, every middle order batsman got into double figures for you. That's crazy.
What a game for Craig Overton. 66 not out off sort of 30-odd balls, and then took 5 for
18 in a limited overs game.
That's his best List A batting and his best List A bowling.
But it's the kind of thing where he plays that well on Ashes cricket. It's going to give the man of the match performance someone like Darren Stevens. I mean, what a boy, what a man.
What do you think of like Van der Merwe? He's still churning out good performances for Somerset.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a solid white ball player.
And in the red ball, what do you think? Do you think he can help you win games, or is he on like?
He's not a bad red ball player, but given we've got 2 of the best spinners in the country in red ball cricket in Leach and Bess, there's not really going to be a place for him. Even as a more of a batting spinner. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just state that they're 2 best. But
yeah, the best.
Interesting. I mean, like looking at it from Kent's point of view, they played like they're I mean, you can make the argument that the Billings is missing and Joe Denley is missing, but like those 2 aren't playing at the start of the season, so like
we're playing under their 5th choice captain actually in that game.
Oh yeah, because Haino Kuhn isn't there either.
Yes, they were missing Denley and Billings at the IPL. Then Haino Kuhn, who's their interim captain, had a back injury, I think it was, and Daniel Bell-Drummond wasn't playing because of family bereavement. So they were playing under their 5th choice captain.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue that it's a second choice, like Kent team, but like I'm looking at the side, and that top order isn't that different to who I would have. I mean, you're just really missing Denley and Billings, and the bowling attack, like.
That is the bowling attack. It's just not good.
I think you're like when you made those predictions at the start of the year, I was obviously, just because like I'm a Kent fan, I was extremely like skeptical of them. But you're not wrong. Like looking at it, there's just like I'm worried there's not enough depth to stay up. I think they're going to produce a few gutsy performances this year, and we're going to be surprised at how well they do in Division 1. But I still just don't think they have enough like quality players to get them through a full season in Division 1 and to stay up.
I'm feeling more optimistic on Kent's behalf for the Championship actually after their first 2 performances, but we'll see.
They've been gutsy.
Yeah,
it's the kind of thing like I think the Somerset game. I'm not sure if I said this before, but I think Kent, if they had been in the first division for maybe a year longer, it's the kind of game that they would have won. And I think it's just because it's first game back, it's a bit of a close one. The experience of just having played in Div 1 won it, I think.
So do you really think there's that big a difference between Division 1 and Division 2 cricket?
Yeah.
Because like I'll be honest, like there was a few years like where I didn't really follow county cricket properly, I guess. But then I got back into it. So like I used to be a big staunch fan, and then there was a period where I didn't follow it, and then now I'm back following it. And when I followed it, I didn't think there was that much of a gap. Is there really that big a gap?
There didn't used to be. Like initially, obviously, when you first separate the counties into two divisions, there's unlikely to be a huge gap because they've all been playing against each other. But increasingly, especially, I'd say probably the last sort of 7 or 8 years, the gap has really widened, in my view. If you imagine someone like Glamorgan playing against a team like Surrey or Somerset, that would just be ridiculous.
Or Leicestershire as well for that matter.
Yeah, it's a slightly stronger Div 2, I say, this year with Middlesex and Lancs both being in it, and both being they have the opportunity and they have the players to be quite good. But
the reason that both of those teams are there is because they're not actually playing that good cricket.
Yeah, but they can. So there's the opportunity to be slightly stronger this year. But so next year, when was it 3 up, 1 down?
Yeah.
That's gonna be a huge power drain.
Yeah.
And is the difference between Division 1 and Division 2, do you think, mainly due to money? Because, like, I mean, the argument I can think of is that, like, all the test grounds have considerably more money than non-test grounds. And so, therefore, they have more money to spend on players, more money on salaries, more money on overseas players.
But yeah, that's definitely part of it. The thing is also, as soon as you start to get the divide between Division 1 and Division 2 in terms of quality, you then get, obviously, there's going to be a preferential sort of selection for international honours of Division 1 players, right or wrong. And so then the Division 1 counties also get all the aspiring international players coming and joining them.
Because they know that's their only way to get into the international side, exactly.
Yeah.
I think, it's tricky what you can do. If you're the ECB, Paddy, what do you think you can try and do to combat this?
Me?
Yeah, I'm just saying, because you're obviously the new Colin Graves.
First, what I'd do is I'd spread out international games across more of the grounds, because then at least you can give the opportunity for clubs to make some more money from international games, and then you're not getting such a huge money surge into just the bigger clubs. I think that would help quite a bit. But besides that, it's one of those things that once you're in it, it's really difficult to get out of, because you've got sides that are set up to be stronger, you've got sides that are set up to be weaker. Unless you want to completely redistribute all the players, there's not that much you can do, in my opinion. Sam, what do you reckon?
I think, to be honest, it's only going to get worse there's touted as there's going to be transfer fees from next season in county cricket, and that just leads to even more players moving from small counties who can't afford big fees like Leicestershire or Derbyshire or whoever, to big counties who can afford them, that have test match money coming in,
like Surrey
and or
Surrey.
Not so worse for it. So yeah, they're kind of going the wrong way, and there's a big suggestion that the 100 is essentially trying to further the divide between the haves and have-nots, and the ECB are essentially attempting an underhanded route to getting rid of the small counties.
Wow. I've never thought about it like that they're just trying to eradicate. Do you think so? What, they're making just into one, like, 12 or 15 team division and just cut out 5 of the smaller counties and make them into minor counties?
Well,
that's what they're thinking.
I don't know. I'd hesitate to actually accuse the ECB of doing that, but there has been a suggestion that that's kind of what they're trying to do.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
That is worrying.
Allegedly.
That's quite worrying if that's the case. I'm not sure what they can do about combating it, because I think if they were, the only way you could do it, I think, is if scrap county cricket and rebuild the structuring completely. Like maybe making like some sort of auction at the start, like in January, like, or maybe like even October time at the end of the season, like a month after the season finishes. Have like an auction or like a draft system almost, and that could be quite interesting. That could make it more relevant, a bit more like modern style, I guess. Maybe you could argue.
A draft system wouldn't really work in county cricket because so much of the onus is on the counties to produce young players.
Yeah.
If your good young players are just going to get drafted by another county, what's the incentive?
Yeah. That's a good idea.
My view on it, and same with football, same with other sports, is the only way you can stop the money power creep is just you have to put wage caps and transfer caps on teams such that you can't offer someone £500,000 a week to come play for you, as opposed to a smaller side that can only offer.
So there is a wage cap in county cricket, but the only team that get close to it apparently is Surrey, basically. It's high enough that basically no county ever touched it. Durham actually went over it when Paul Collingwood lost his central contract. That pushed them over the wage cap. But then obviously since then they've gone bust. So,
Yeah, as I say, that's probably a reason why they went into liquidation.
well, yeah, I mean they were spending beyond their means because of the lures of it hosting international cricket, which is another thing that the ECB are really bad for, which is the number of test match ground counties who are in significant amounts of debt because they've had to develop their grounds so extensively and so quickly. And it's not healthy for the game.
Talking of a ground that's just had a new development to make it even smaller, they all catch the Notts game yesterday. 400 plays 400. It's going to be Jake. I think Jay, you called it yesterday. 500 runs in the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I'm worried for these decks. Like, I just think there's no point bowlers even turning up. You could just probably get like me to trundle in and bowl like off a length and just see what happens, because the ball's going out of the park regardless by the looks of it. I mean, 417 plays 406 a 50 over game. That's not really helpful for the bowlers at all.
But then how do you explain that there is a divide? It's not like all the bowlers are going at 8 and over. You've got a divide. So just looking here, like Maxwell bowled his 10 overs for 62 runs.
Yeah. Which ground was that? Was that at Blank? Was that at this game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in not racking up 417, and Maxie's bowled 10 overs for 62.
He's also opened up, which as a spinner, kind of your role is to just bowl like darts and just try and like bowl hard into the wicket, I guess. So
you can do things as a bowler to go for fewer runs.
Yeah, it's true, but I just feel like the pitches aren't really going to aid the bowlers in this World Cup. And I guess we'll find out whether I'm correct or whether I'm just chatting nonsense as per normal.
Yeah,
when we get to the World Cup.
Chatting nonsense.
But like, I mean, Paddy, do you not agree with me that the fact that should not be? I mean, like, that shouldn't really be happening.
It's a lot of fun to watch, and every so often you want to kind of throw in a 400 plays 400.
Yeah,
good spectacle. Yeah. But if you really want to test, if you really want the game to be a test of who's the better all-round side, 400 plays 400 is not going to do that. It's just so you can hit the ball harder. You can more consistently hit it out of the park.
I think it is worth mentioning as well that that game was at Trent Bridge, where there's a really short boundary. So just because it was 400 plays 400 doesn't necessarily mean it was that flat deck.
Yeah, and also looking at all the other scorecards, the other scorecards are reasonable from like yesterday. There's no like other massive scores.
Well, no, 400.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. There's a couple 350s from Middlesex and Somerset, unfortunately, but and the other games are all 200, 300 or below. So I'm not too worried, but I just wonder like if well, I mean, Trent Bridge has always been known as a battle, especially in ODI cricket, but I mean, I'm just like a fan of bowling in ODI cricket because I think it's already so hard it is with the fielding restrictions, and then now with a lot of decks and pitches being batter friendly, I just think that there should be a little bit of a swing towards the bowlers. Like I'd love to see the white ball swing loads early on in like a couple games, then kind of reverse swing later on instead of
I was
just
gonna say,
going out.
what would these games be like if the white ball was just swapped out for a red ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You've played the exact same. You can keep the boundaries tiny, but just everything stays the same. You can still play on a road. You can still have a tiny boundary. Just play it with the red ball.
Sam, what do you think?
Easy switch out.
That'd be quite an interesting thing to watch. And so I think it certainly give the bowlers a bit of a chance.
Maybe even the pink ball, because the pink ball swings a lot under the lights, doesn't it? From what we've seen of it so far. Maybe try out the pink ball or something.
Maybe, but the pink ball's kind of similar to the white, slightly more durable. But the reason it swings more is because it's supposedly why it swings more is because it's used later on at night, and it starts getting darker, and the sun stops creating convection currents above the ground. And so supposedly the reason it swings more is because of those factors and not necessarily because of the ball. Whereas the ball kind of swings in most conditions. The Duke's red ball swings under most conditions.
Yeah.
Please don't change it to a kookaburra.
In other news, Dimuth Karunaratne has been appointed as a Sri Lanka captain, despite his drink driving charge. Paddy, what do we think?
Well, Jay, I'm just going to stop you there.
Okay.
We put this in the order we're going to go it in.
Okay.
So,
You're just trying to skip over Tom Banton, aren't you?
Oh, I thought we already talked about that. My apologies.
No, we never. You kind of just took us away from talking about Banton. We talked about Overton, but we've not talked about Banton.
Yeah.
Cheeky little 107 against Kent. Maiden ton for him and full professional game. This on the back of scoring 150 odd in a 50 over second 11 game about 4 days beforehand. I think he's quite a promising young player. He did played a couple of important innings, I think, for England in the last Under-19 World Cup.
It's just really nice watching loads of Somerset players score runs.
Yeah.
Obviously, the third different Centurion this year. And the season's it's still young, and we've already got 3. It's quite nice to just have a plethora of players that have decided finally this is the year to not get out for 4.
Well, especially when 2 of them are so young, with Bartlett being 21, I think, and Banton's 20 or 21.
I think the fact that Somerset have, like, they're not even playing George Bartlett in this game, and the fact that he's scoring runs, and you've got your Eddie Byram still in the shed as well. I think the fact that you have this kind of depth and everyone seems to be doing reasonably well so far, I think is going to really like push Somerset to really like competing this year. I think they're looking really strong so far, and I think we discussed this when we did the previews. The Somerset are really well balanced this year in terms of like some experience in like Azarelli and like Hildreth, and then you've also got like young players like Dom Bess and like Eddie Byram and Tom Banton, and so I think Somerset look really good. And like, although it pains me to say, I think you could go all the way here. Like they're doing very well.
Yeah,
and I think
it's going to be fun to see the spectacular way in which we bottle it. Yeah, because it'll be something. We've got a 500 run lead, and they've got 1 wicket left,
and we'll lose it.
And we'll lose. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And number 11, whose high score is 10.
Yeah.
Will come in and score an unbeaten triple ton. It'll be something ridiculous.
That's
also worth mentioning the second 11 game in which Bantam scored that 150 was actually streamed live, which I didn't realise until I saw after the game. Somerset put up a report and had a little thing of, watch it here. I think it's rather indicative of the increased amount of streaming of cricket that goes on. So obviously, basically all the counties now, I think, live stream their games. If they're not on Sky, you can watch them on YouTube or their websites. And now you get you get the subtitles.
Sorry, I'm distracted. Danielle's just come and brought me a glass of orange juice in a martini glass. I thought it was a little bit early to get on sauce. But
I was concerned it wasn't just orange juice. So it's interesting. You've got an increased amount of streaming, even at club level now. There's a lot of club sides kicking around who live stream their games.
I tell you who I watch a lot of on the old YouTube is Sanderstead.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Sanderstead Cricket Club. I think.
Yeah, it's kind of out of nowhere, and I think what they do is really cool. It's just guy live commentating the game from different angles. It's nothing fancy, but after about 3 games, you know the guys, and the scenarios, and you can kind of feel as part of the club of a team I've never heard of.
It's really refreshing to just see like a genuine, proper cricket club. Like their ones look like they're pretty good, a good side. Their twos look reasonable, and then you're like when you get to your 3s and 4s, you're seeing some proper village cricket, and like it's just nice to see that from somewhere else. So like for me now, knowing that there is other people that are just as village as me, and it's just nice to see that. It's a refreshing thing to see online, considering we see so much like high level cricket. It's very refreshing to see like just some mediocre village stuff.
Well, we're talking about mediocre village stuff. Our season, we've got our first friendlies today.
Yeah.
Where are you playing today? Are you away from home or are you at the Fortress?
So I'm playing away in Dunbar. I've never been to Dunbar, but I hear it's reasonably nice, I think.
It's a long drive.
I'm playing against Morton Twos on the Meadows. I'm drafted in as a ringer at last minute. So I've been told I'm not allowed to bowl seam, which is pretty damning on them if my Meadows are too much.
So are you serious? You're not allowed to bowl? They told you you're not allowed to bowl seam?
Yeah. Well, in fairness, the guy who organised it, the last time he saw me bowl, I broke someone's toe. So maybe he's playing on the back of his mind, he doesn't want his teammates. But I think that was a once in a lifetime.
So for our non-Edinburgh-based listeners, the Meadows is like the public park in the middle of Edinburgh that also has 3 cricket squares on it, but they're not of the highest quality, shall we say?
No, and it's really, really poor standard of pitch. There are no sight screens or anything. You kind of get like people that are absolutely smashed by 12 or just like really high walk across the pitch, and obviously they don't care about cricket. And you're like, excuse me, can you please vacate the boundary? And they just go and start swearing and being like, no, it's my right to walk here. It's not fun. It is a fun.
All that said, I quite like playing in the Meadows.
Yeah.
It's the only chance you get to play over at the proper crowd, because there's just people hanging out in the Meadows and they kind of are forced to watch you.
Yeah. People with their barbecues on the boundary, kind of, there's sport going on. Let's give it a watch.
So why are you not playing for the same team today? I'm a bit confused about how that's happened.
So it's not the game that Sam's playing in is more of like a twos friendly, but Sam and our other one seamer Simon have been drafted in as sort of if they start putting on a few too many runs, go in, break a partnership.
We both said we wanted to play.
So
I was just desperate to get a good full game of cricket.
And it's my dad's birthday today, and I'm sure he.
Happy birthday, Tim.
Happy birthday.
So I decided not to go all the way out to Dunbar. and spend some time in Edinburgh with him instead.
Is he in Edinburgh?
Yeah, they've come up for. Well, in fairness, I'm still playing cricket. And I'm just playing with Danielle and my older brother instead. Yeah, so with club cricket, I've always been what makes it so good, and why do we always come back to playing? Because there's certainly better things we could do during the summer than kind of trek for an hour and a half into the borders and play a game of cricket in the pouring rain that you know is going to get called off after 20 overs, but you'll still go.
Yeah, I think part of it's the camaraderie. Like, inevitably, you'll end up good mates with pretty much everyone who you play with regularly, because you're spending the whole of your Saturday together, and then normally also spending Saturday night together in the pub. So it's kind of, in a way, the cricket's almost secondary, and it's kind of just like a day
with your pals,
with your mates.
Yeah,
kind of hangout session. Yeah, exactly. Paddy, what do you feel? What draws you to club cricket?
I agree with that. A day to get away from like working and just kind of all life in general, to just kind of go and play a useless sport with your friends. I definitely agree with that. I think as well, because certainly with the uni stuff, we train all winter. But once you've trained all winter and you haven't been able to play any outdoor cricket, because it's not like football and rugby and that kind of stuff. You play during the winter and you can go out and play during the summer as well. But with cricket, you cannot play it during the winter.
And to clarify, for Bucks university cricket, we only have 5 rounds or 5 weeks worth of games, and they start next Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah,
and so like it literally clashes entirely with the exam season, which is unfortunate, but there's not really much you can do about it.
Yeah, it's just kind of when you've got to do it. But yeah, so you've trained all winter, and then you get to the summer, and you're like, right, I've put in so much effort. This is going to be the time. I'm at one point, surely I have to score some runs and take some wickets. And then you get to the end of the season, you've only taken 10 for the season, and you've got 5 runs, 15 golden ducks. And you're like, well, maybe this wasn't the season. What I'm going to have to do is buy a new stick and come again next year.
Yeah. It's the stick's fault.
Where can you buy a new stick, Paddy?
Oh, well, you can buy some from us, actually. No, please don't. Please do.
Please do.
Yeah. I like how you can show up to a game, and a lot of the time they have team performances, and that will be the reason you win. But you can turn up to a game, and there is just a chance that you could just win the game single-handedly. You could just kind of rock up and just be a big dog for a week and live on it for the next 5 years.
Is that what you've done on numerous occasions?
Yeah, well, numerous, like 1 or 2, but it sounds like numerous because I'm living off it for the rest of my life.
That's all you need. I mean,
It is one or 2 big performances.
I mean, we've already heard about.
Yeah, exactly.
On the podcast,
and you'll hear about it
multiple more times.
Never stop.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, like the first thing you said to me that day, because I was playing in a different game. I was playing for the 2s, and we got back to the flat, and it was just the first thing Paddy said to me was basically, "Oh yeah, I scored 77 and took 5 for whatever it was."
Back to 29.
Of course, Paddy knows the stats.
So let me set the scene.
I think for me with club cricket, when I was younger, well, obviously, like when you're young, if you played club cricket, like if you play at the same club I played at the same club in Kent for like since I was age 6, right? So I've played with the same group of boys through age group cricket, and then we all progressed. Like I guess the club probably planned that we would all try and be in the first team by now, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. Huh?
That's gone well.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm like, I barely play threes. Like, I don't want to play. Like, there's a bunch of like factors, right? But like, the one thing I guess that drags me back to club cricket, like the one thing I'm excited to do if I play some games is just seeing some old faces and just like playing a game with them, like for me now, like just not caring if it's a win or a loss, just there to just have some fun and just see what happens. I guess the nice thing about club cricket is it can have different agendas for different people. Say for Paddy or someone, he's your first team captain this year, right?
Yeah.
So big dog, but I assume your aim or objective of the season is to win as many games as possible and get promoted. Yes.
Yeah. Well, so winning would be nice. Winning would be very nice. Obviously, because it would shine on me well as a captain.
That's why it'd be nice.
Yeah, no, nothing else. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the team. It all matters. It would be nice.
Such a team player.
The most important thing as a captain is to make sure everyone rocks up and has a good time. Because if you show up and all 11 players are enjoying it and they're vibing and they're having a good time, they'll start playing good cricket and the winning will follow. I think the most important thing for me as a captain would be make sure that all 11 players are having fun.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to kind of take the approach. Like the thing is that Marchmen are not playing like a bad division, right? That's like Division 1. It's division below Premier, right?
Two below the Prem. So it's a very good standard of cricket. And I think once you get to that kind of level, you forget why you're playing the game in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
You absolutely hate it. And I think it's really important not to lose sight of that, even if you're pushing. What we'll be doing is pushing for promotion. It's important not to lose sight of why you show up every Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I'm excited for this season. Because it's the first time in probably 2-3 years where I'll play at least 5 games of club cricket. Who knows? Maybe I'll even turn up for Marchman if I'm available.
Oh, you definitely will be. And you definitely
we're going to force you to play for Marchman.
And who knows? Maybe I'll even turn the arm over again. That might be quite good fun. Huh?
I wouldn't get too far.
Oh, all right.
I'd be bad.
I'll stick as just like batting out 0 for 26.
Well, I'm claiming Sam's going to get a 7 for this year. That's my big prediction for the season.
Technically, you've actually predicted I'm going to get more than 1 7 foot, but I think 1 is optimistic.
I reckon this is the year. Now you got the little inducker coming as well.
Yeah, I mean I'm hopeful.
What do you mean he's the little inducker? He's inducker. Oh wait, yeah, sorry, I'm left-handed.
Yeah. So Sam.
I was like, Sam does not. Sam's inducker is massive. What are you talking about? And then I was like, no, he's left-handed.
Yeah, absolutely hoops it away from the right-hander, and so for you, he's basically like turning it round the corner and going to hit your back pad like perpendicular to it.
No, what Sam used to do to me in the nets was especially at the start when I just joined the uni and the club. He took on around my leg. I moved across my stump so much because it was just a problem. And I got bowled around my legs numerous times by Sam. Sam was like, Jay, you should stop moving. Stay still. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I now bat on leg instead of middle. So it kind of compensates for it. Huh?
You still love a big move across your stumps.
Just dancing shoes.
Yeah, you very much got your dancing shoes on when you bat.
I definitely think it's got better though. Like standing on leg, I've been much more still. I haven't had as much trouble as I had this year compared to last year.
Oh, now Jay, I was going to cut it out because it would have made things flow more easily, but I'm not going to because you've made a mistake and the people need to know. They need to know, Jay.
What mistake did I make?
Talk about Karuna Ratne.
Wait, what mistake did I make?
When you just brought him up too early.
Yeah.
We've got an agenda. We've got things written out in the order we're going to talk about them. Then you've just hopped from one to the other.
Do you mean the earlier one about Karuna Ratne? Okay, yeah.
We're going to do in the future.
What are you chatting, Jay?
I'm so confused at what you're talking about.
So it's too early for Jay.
What we're talking about is Karuna Ratne having been appointed as captain for the World Cup, despite having been done for drink driving not 2 weeks ago.
And he hasn't played ODI cricket for Sri Lanka in ages, hasn't he?
That's a good question, actually. I know his record is not particularly good in ODI cricket. I was having a look, and he scored 150 in his 13 ODI innings.
He hasn't played an ODI for 4 years.
Really?
That's crazy. His last ODI was against Sri Lanka in Wellington at the last World Cup. That's crazy.
Pick someone who one plays,
Yeah.
and if they do play someone who might be reasonably alright, not someone that's a fringe member of the side if they're going to be picked anyways, and not someone that's just been arrested for drink driving.
Yeah, someone like responsible.
Yeah, would be my view on it. I'm not sure. Maybe they told him to drink drive such that it became a really niche pick for them. So they could really really shock everyone else, and they're going to win on shock factor.
Yeah, they've released the shock factor quite early. I'd say, like 5 weeks before the start of the World Cup.
It's a big shock though, to be fair.
It's a big shock, but I think the shock value is probably going to have declined by the time the World Cup starts. There's something else I noticed on his cricket info page, actually, which is that his first name is not Dimmoth. That's actually his second name. His first name is actually Frank.
Frank Dimmuth Madhushankar Karuna Ratne. What a name. They have amazing names.
Cultural name, I think.
Definitely going to call him Frank now.
Yeah.
Wasn't there an initiative it was like Call Frank if you would
I think
just something to do with stop drugs.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Sort of in the same.
Yeah, it's in the ballpark of drink driving, I suppose.
They've not picked Dinesh Chandimal.
I've not actually looked at those, but
No, they haven't. They haven't selected Dick Weller. They haven't selected Akila Dhananjaya. They haven't selected Upul Taranga and Dinesh Chandimal. You can argue that Dick Weller, Taranga, and Chandimal are three of their best ODI batsmen.
Maybe they're actually they're playing like 4D chess here, and this isn't their squad at all because they've got another month to change it without having to run it past the ICC. So maybe they've just picked 15 people they're not going to play, and then they're going to change the entire squad before the World Cup.
Just looking for 3D players like the India side.
Yeah.
3D players?
Pakistan side, sorry.
Yeah, they've picked a 3-dimensional squad. Is what they said. Which you'd hope they would be 3-dimensional, to be honest. Otherwise, it'd be pretty difficult to play cricket.
Mario style scroller cricket.
Maybe when they say 3 dimensions, they mean like unreal, like world class level, really bad, and then just mediocre.
Yeah. Well, surely that's still along a straight line of quality. That would be 2.
Well, it's 1-dimensional. It's just quality.
Yeah.
It's just it utilises the full access. Talking of the Pakistan squad, big shock there, of course, was Mohammed Amir's omission.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a full episode, like just literally analysing each squad because there's a lot of like different.
I think it's worth bearing in mind that the teams still have a month to change these.
Yeah,
these
they're all subject to change, and I'm sure we'll talk about them close at the time in the run-up.
To talk about
because the ICC are relying on us to create most of the hype for the World Cup.
Yeah.
So we don't want to start too early. Don't want to bring the shock factor in too early.
I mean, with so many downloads, we're a huge influential factor in the ICC media. Also, the other thing is
we've had listeners from as far-flung places as Ethiopia, according to our download thing.
So if you are listening from Ethiopia,
if you're the Ethiopian listener, fair play, and please get in touch.
But also, if you're using a VPN and that's putting you in Ethiopia, why?
But also still get in touch.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is they picked Mohammed Hussain, who is 19 years old and has played he's not scored a run in professional cricket. He's not scored 1 run in any professional cricket. That's crazy. He's 19 years old. He's not the youngest player in the World Cup because Shaheen Shah Afridi is there. But Mohammed Hussain has not played an ODI yet, and he has also only played 2 T20s. He just played his first few ODIs.
I was going to say, I was just looking at his
Sorry.
page there, just to check
Sorry.
you weren't just making it up that he's not scored runs, but no, he's not.
He's not scored a single run in professional cricket, and he's played.
Not out in a T20, so you know.
He's faced 13 balls in professional cricket
Got
and
scored.
yet to get off the mark.
Oh, that's such a weird feeling that he's going to a World Cup. His averages are 0, 0, 0, and guess what? 0.
All ducks.
Wow, there's a lot of interesting.
Five ducks and 1 not.
It's-
Obviously, get him at the top of the order.
Actually reminds me, this is some really niche cricket. It's a Bermudan player, I think it was, or it might have been Cayman Islands. I'm just looking him up now. Whose record in professional cricket was similarly just zeros. A bloke called Troy Taylor. Oh, give me 2 secs to find him.
I was talking to Paddy about this the other day. I was like, if these blokes can get 0, I back myself to be able to get double figures against it.
At some point, you're going to edge one through the slips.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm sure that I'm gonna all I have to do is just get some sort of bat on like a wideish one, just push it, and because of how quick they bowl, all you have to do is just put it in like a gap or slip, or in front of square, because they have like no fielders in front of square because they're all in the slips. Especially to me, right? They'll have like 6 slips, 2 gullies, maybe 1 guy in front of square. They don't even bank me to hit it. So all I have to do is really get bat on balls. Huh?
Definitely have a man in short leg for you.
Alright.
So I found Troy Taylor, who's Cayman Islands. He played 2 first-class games for them in the Intercontinental Cup. Batted 4 times with a high score of 0 not out. Faced 24 balls without scoring.
Ouch. That's
He's got the pair.
It's just a fantastic record of refusing to score a run. Because he's clearly not a good batsman. How's he not edged away a run in 24 balls?
We don't know.
They must have just kept bowling wide of the stumps and he just kept missing it.
that's.
Well, yeah.
I have nothing to say.
I like this name guy of just no runs in professional cricket.
Not a huge amount of cricket in general in professional cricket. But
And he's been picked for the World Cup. That's crazy. And he's been picked for the World Cup. That's crazy to me.
Is he in 3D?
No, he's not cricket book victory. He's in 0D.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is Hales okay?
The England camp is Alex Hales has been given indefinite leave for personal reasons by Notts. So he made himself unavailable for their first one-day cup game. I've not found any more about what it is exactly. Personal reasons is all that's been said.
We won't speculate.
No,
as to the nature of his leave as well.
But he's expected to be available for the start of England's World Cup training camp, which is about a week and a half's time, I think. So hopefully he's around for that.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay.
I think it would be a big loss for the England World Cup squad if he were to have to drop out.
He's such a power hitter.
He can take games away from you.
So hard. I reckon him and Joss are the hardest hitters in the England side, I'd say.
Oh, Roy. I think Roy hits.
Roy does hit a hard ball, but I think Hales hits it harder.
Yeah, I think Hales hits it harder. I would have said Roy over Butler.
I think Hales hits a longer ball.
It's just got massive levers.
Yeah. I just think, thinking of massive sixes, I'd think of Hales. But thinking of just hitting the ball as hard as humanly possible, I think Roy, in my mind at least, I think more of Roy is just absolutely blasting it, but along the ground a lot of the time.
Roy, in my mind, is always trying to clip it off his legs and getting out stupidly, like he did in the Champions, whatever it was, the 50th
Champions Trophy.
Yeah. Just a player that was in a side that was told, no one will be dropped from this side. This is our side. We want you to just go out there and play with confidence and freedom. And he managed to get dropped from that side for being so bad. Fairness, he's come back and he's played unbelievable cricket, but
Yeah,
he
did
was
manage that.
he was finding new and creative ways to get out. Like he wanted to play that flick off his legs so much, he kept on walking further and further across the stumps and got bowled behind his legs, like second ball of a match.
Yeah.
What have you got there, Sam?
Just accidentally closed the internet and got Netflix instead there. The other thing for England's World Cup squad worth mentioning, I think, is Plunkett's form in the first 2 One-Day Cup matches for Surrey. He has been awful. So in the first game against Gloucestershire, he bowled 7 overs, 0 for 67, and that was in Gloucestershire's total of 235 all out. He got absolute tonk in what was a low-scoring match there. And then yesterday, 6 overs, 1 for 57.
Oh gosh.
Then when Surrey trying to defend 270 odd, and he's going at nearly 10s. That's not what you expect from someone who's meant to be one of the leaders of the World Cup attack in a month's time.
I think my argument there again is like they're playing that at the Oval, right? They must have played one of those games at the Oval, I assume.
Yesterday's was at home,
and the first one was at Gloucestershire.
Was it?
Okay, so no. Because I don't think either of those are venues for this World Cup.
You can't really use the excuse of grounds when everyone else in the match has not gone for many runs.
Okay, well then, yeah, you're right. I haven't.
The game was high scoring. I mean, Surrey were bowled out for 88 in the first one of those.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, no.
I just I don't know like what if England are worried that Plunkett doesn't get picked to replace it with Jofra, or like.
Yes.
Do you think?
Well, I think that's Jofra Archer's probably watching on with a bit of a smile on his face as because it creates a very easy gap in the squad if Plunkett has an awful month of cricket.
Tell you who said something rogue was Wokes. In an interview, said it would be morally wrong.
Yeah, well, he's just...
and that there are players in the side who have been there a while and they've been working towards this World Cup, and that they shouldn't be dropped. And that's going back to the old England attitude of you're always looking over your shoulder to see who's gonna kick you out. All the new players coming in, all they're doing there is kicking out one of your pals. I think it was a pretty silly thing for Wokes to say.
I think that quote did get taken a little bit out of context. It was poor wording from Wokes, definitely. And he gave them a bit of a sound bite to use.
100%.
But I've just looked at the full quote. Was if he was to come in and someone was to miss out, it would be extremely unfortunate. Asked if it was fair that Archie could replace someone who's been part of the squad for 3 years. Wokes said, fair probably is not the right word. It probably wouldn't be fair morally, but at the same time, it's the nature of international sport. So he's accepting that.
Yeah, I watched the interview, and he does go on to say about how there are guys in there that have kind of earned their spot. But then surely, as an international sportsman, as an international team, you want to pick the best players you've got to form the best team you can. And just because you've been there for longer doesn't necessarily mean that you deserve a spot ahead of someone who might be better than you. I think, my opinion,
England have actually managed it very well in that they said initially, which would like to bring up as well, all the media outlets going on before England announced their provisional squad. They're all going, oh, is Jofra Archer going to be in it? Isn't he? But England came out and said about 3 weeks ago that he wasn't going to, actually it might have been longer ago than that. I think I mentioned it on the podcast at the time. He wasn't going to be in the provisional squad. Then he was going to play the Pakistan games, and depending on how well he went in that and other factors, he might make the squad, like the final squad for the World Cup.
It's almost like they've done what they said.
Yeah. I was slightly confused by all the media outlets going, oh, is Jofra Archer going to be picked? It's like, well, no. But I think they've managed it well. I think that's the right way to go about it. Is he's not earned his spot in the World Cup squad, but he's definitely going to go at ODI cricket, and then you kind of go from there.
He's also a very not that much list A cricket.
No, he's not. He played 14 games, 13 games.
Yeah, so I mean, you can argue that he's not really proven himself yet.
But he's proven himself a quality cricketer.
Yeah.
And he also has the nous in white ball cricket, which he's proven in his T20 performances. And obviously, it remains to be seen whether he can transfer that into a good 50-over performance, good 50-over performances on the international stage. But you've got to give him the chance.
Yeah, I think
he's passed every challenge put to him so far, I would say.
Yeah, also some
Pakistan coming up.
Yes.
Just got some breaking news here. Steve Smith is now the new captain of the Rajasthan Royals. The coaching setup have decided to just change it up. So it's not like they just thought we'd say, "Oh, thanks, Rahane. Yeah, Steve Smith's back in now."
That's pretty weird, especially seeing isn't he going to be leaving the IPL in about a week and a half's time?
He's only available to the 1st of May.
Yeah.
So another 11 days.
Why on earth have they given him the captaincy for 11 days?
Well, hopefully they can recreate the leadership group.
Yeah.
So that's probably their plan. Well, why would you give the captaincy to someone who had the captaincy of their national side stripped from them so unceremoniously?
That's now two of the three ball sanders that have been given captaincy gigs.
Oh, I assume Warner's doing it because they aren't picking Kane, even though he's meant to be captain. So.
Well, is Warner captaining as well? All three of them now got captaincy jobs.
Oh wait, you were talking about Bancroft.
Oh,
Yeah, wait. Oh, I wasn't thinking about Bancroft. I was thinking about Kane. I was thinking about Warner. Let me check. I'll find out for you. Because that's bad if all three of them all got captaincy.
I did hear a shout of no, Warner's not captaining from behind me in the room. So
anyone, do you know who it is?
It still is Kane.
Okay, it's apparently it's Bhuvneshwar Kumar, not Warner, thankfully.
Kane has played 3 IPL games, even though he's captain of Hyderabad. That's bad. Not bad. I mean, it's fair, but it's just like
the Good Morning Hyderabad.
The Good Morning Hyderabad. They're doing pretty well.
I had to put my shirt in the bin if David Warner was captain.
Do you have a Good Morning Hyderabad t-shirt?
It's £3 eBay special Sunrisers Hyderabad.
I'm supporting the Indian economy. £3. It was. It's not the highest quality shirt in the world. It sort of fits. Like if I'm bowling, it's a bit of a crop top. Even though
cropped.
You put it on over the top of another shirt and you pretend you've got one performance bras.
Yeah. I suppose I could work. What I could do.
Sunrisers
I could wear
branded.
my normal clothes. Then I could put my extra large Scotland rugby shirt on.
Yeah.
And then I could put the Sunrisers thing on top of that, and then it would look like the performance bra.
Proper.
Like a training vest.
I was looking up to try and see if it was possible to buy one of those, like what they actually do. Yeah, so this is the performance tracking bras, probably the right word.
They do look like bras.
Performance tracking bras that the England team wear, and we found the company that make them, but you can't buy them.
Yeah.
And they don't really say what they do. They have a website. That's it.
That sounds like quite not dodgy, but like secretive.
I think it's just because they're a relatively new thing, so they just work with like elite.
Yeah, but hidden tricks. I think we can. I think we pretty much reached the end. I mean, that's almost an hour.
Yeah.
Which does mean that I'm going to go to you here, Sam, for a club cricketer tip of the week.
Well, actually, I did get one from my dad. Sent me a top tip for club cricketers, which is don't rely on grass on the wicket for top tips for club cricketers, which I think is fair comment.
Also ruin us from giving tips in the future because if they listened. Well, but then again, they could not listen to our tips. So do they listen to our tips?
I think they
And
listen
then,
to them.
and then they no longer listen to any of our tips because this is one of the tips? Or do they not listen to the tips?
And then they won't know not to listen
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
That's good thinking, Sam.
We've moved up to 5D chess.
So the club cricketer tip of the day is to not listen to our club cricketer tips of the day because they'll make you worse at cricket.
I'm not even sure it's necessarily that they'll make you worse at cricket. It's just
They've
that
made me worse at cricket.
we just kind of never prepared them or come up with anything.
And on that note, Sam, do you want to talk about the social medias?
Yeah, so we've got the Twitter is @GrassWicket. We're on Facebook at Grass and the Wicket Podcast. We are on Podbean. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, and we're on Stitcher.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't catch us on any of those,
What are you doing?
yeah,
You're in the Stone
next to
Age.
the internet.
Yeah. How do you know what a podcast is if you can't get on any?
Jay, have you got any?
Well, also you wouldn't know about it unless you already got on one of those.
Well, I
to listen
suppose,
to
yeah.
it.
There's Jay, have you got any parting words?
I don't. Best of luck for today. I hope you go really well, or you get a duck. One or the other. Oh, no, I'm joking. I hope you get a duck.
I mean, not getting a duck is going well for me already.
I mean, like I said, if I get past 5, I've basically tanned up in my mind. Yeah, just go well. Enjoy the Meadows. You got a big crowd on, yeah, I'm quite excited to get back to Edinburgh. I miss doing the podcast, and also I'm not going to do any foreshadowing, but we might have some very special conversations in the near future. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
But we'll leave it at that. We'll keep it.
Well, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks, Jay, for dialing in almost on time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 40 minutes is pretty good for me.
8 now, which is nice. Thank you, Sam, for just being here, I guess. Big cup of tea. Very nice.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
Mate, what is that club cricketer tip of the week? What the fuck was that?
Well, Paddy.